want to officially welcome you to our webinar today. My name is Judy Browse. I'm the Executive Director of NAAEE, and we're so thrilled you could be here. And we're really excited to see so much interest in this topic, of course, and we know so many people are focused on climate change education, and we're excited to present some new resources. Hopefully you're in the right webinar. This is From Principles to Practice, New Resources for Teaching Climate Education. And we've got three amazing presenters. We're going to be hearing about NOAA's recently released climate literacy. We're going to hear about NAAE's recently released Educating for Climate Action and Justice. And we're going to hear from MIT about some free lesson plans that are available. And we couldn't have a better lineup with Frank Niepold, Bora Simmons, and Michael Kozuch, who are all here and are going to be absolutely fantastic. And Michael, I see you're in my neck of the woods, so we'll have to figure out how to connect later on. Just so you know, climate change education policy, these are strategic priorities for NAAEE, and these new resources are going to help all of us in our climate change education work. And at the end, we're going to hear from Sarah Bodar, who's our Senior Director of Capacity Building, because we have a lot of other resources available as well. And I think Frank and others have resources to add into the mix. So throughout the webinar, Carrie and I will be adding resources in the chat. If you have resources, please add them so that we can all walk away with as many ideas as possible. And we really appreciate all of you sending in your questions. We'll get to as many as we can during the webinar, and we'll stay after school for a few minutes if we don't get to all of them. So for those of you who are new to our webinar, we are all about, our series is bringing new ideas, insight speakers to the field and beyond. We're always trying to bring great ideas forward. Want to thank our affiliate co-hosts. And if you don't know who your affiliate is or want to find out more, you can go to our website. Fantastic organizations that we all work together to try and advance our collective work. And thanks to EPA and E360 Plus for all the support for environmental education. So everybody is muted, but please type questions in the chat. If you have any issues, type it in the chat, and Carrie and I will be looking for that. If you need captions, I'll just look at your toolbar, and I'll show that in a minute right here. So you can see the chat down there, and you can see the closed captioning. Again, please type questions, or if you have any technical issues. And if you need other languages, you've got 31 to pick from on the closed captioning. And I just want to introduce Carrie, who is behind the scenes, always helping us with the webinar series and the communications and technology behind the scenes. So Carrie, thank you so much. We appreciate all that you do and would work without you. So thank you very much. And now for the best part of the webinar, our three speakers. First, we're going to have Frank Niepold, who is the Climate Education Coordinator at NOAA. He's all about everything climate change education. He leads the education section of NOAA's public data and information web portal, climate.gov, and he's a co-chair of the U.S. Global Change Research Program's Education Interagency Working Group that might need a new title. Anyway, he'll be talking about climate literacy, the essential principles of climate science. Then we'll have Bora Simmons, who serves as the founding director of the National Project for Excellence in Environmental Education. NAAEE started this project in 1993 to help educators develop and deliver more effective programming. And thousands of educators around the world have contributed to these guidelines to help improve practice. And then Michael is a community activist, educator, and organizer for educational equity, social justice, and sustainability. He's been working for more than 30 years, and he started his career working for LGBT civil rights and focuses on the interconnectedness among all social justice issues. And he's currently the K-12 Director of History and Social Studies for the Arlington Public Schools and a curriculum developer, and you'll hear all about it, with MIT's Climate Action Through Education, or CATE program. So welcome to all of you. And Frank, I'm going to turn it over to you to kick us off.
Fantastic. I'm not sure if this little button, it will work. Nope, it won't work. So So nice to be with you all today. Let me take a time step just to make sure I'm not blowing up my time and respectful to my co-presenters. It's a real honor to be with you today. And so I am talking about turns out a really important product. I was brought into NOAA in 2005 to advance climate literacy. We didn't have it defined. We didn't have partners, programs, initiatives, funding, staff, nothing. It was ground zero. And so from there, one of the things we did was, if you can go to the next slide there, Judy, was really start to build out what does climate literacy mean? We had picked up the effort from ocean literacy, which was released in 2005. And really the spirit of that was ocean topics weren't really taught in any form of education very well. It was just a non-issue, and it was an important issue on the planet, given it's a very large part of our planet, and it's a very important part of our planet. So, climate was following that model. So we first released the first version of climate literacy. What does that mean? And there's a whole big process that I led with a lot of other people to build the definition of what was climate literacy. Again, built off ocean literacy. And then we quickly redid it in 2009 when we released the second National Climate Assessment. Um, and, turns out this effort, a document, did a lot of really heavy lifting to improve how climate was taught across both the United States and internationally. And I see there are a couple of people that I can see already who are international with us today. So we know that under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, we're supposed to collaborate on education, public awareness, and training to advance our work to address climate. So we've been doing that, and no one else in the world has done it like this. So I think it is not just this thing for the United States, but also for other countries and communities around the world. So um, in the United States, the next generation science standards, 49 of 50 states are using very similar standards that have explicit climate language across all science domains and all grade bands. That didn't exist before 2005. So that's a really big change. But it also changed curriculum of all kinds, classes, museum programs of all kinds, park programs of all kinds. It did just having a framework. And I was a little surprised would do that. So, and that was 2009. And for a whole host of reasons, we never really touched this thing again until recently. It's a very hard, heavy lift. It got heavier and harder this round. So, next slide, please. Um, the In order for us to do it this time, the United States government took this on itself. We really brought this into government process this round. Last time it was more public and government together. There's a whole host of reasons why that was the right way to do it. But what was interesting was the group of agencies that came together. It was an incredibly diverse group. You can see in the link I gave you, if you open up the PDF and you can see the contributors, hundreds of people were involved with a very diverse set of expertise that came together to write this. And I think if you really unpack what this document is, it was fully approved and written by some very authoritative, trusted sources, but they also had people in them that were really came grounded in the work of education, which is wonderful. So, just this for this group of people to come together and author something like this, it was a long 21-month long process. It was a hard process, but I think the product that came out in September is very worth use and consideration. That's the whole point of what we're doing today. So, next slide, please. In order to ground this, because we knew the work had shifted from 2009 till when we started this process in January of 23. So we had 21 listening sessions using some really simple questions, got thousands of people and tens of thousands of contributions to answering some really simple questions. What do people need to know to address climate change? What do they need to be able to do? And so, yeah, I'm going to show you. So the next slide shows you a word cloud of some of the responses related to the knowledge. Just take a minute here to look at some of this. This cloud of concepts of knowledge would not have been present in 2009. Would not have. Some of the words here, maybe, but you can see things that like the emphasis on career and technical education, CTE, that's new. The emphasis on sociology probably would not have showed up. Racial justice, politics, electricians, psychology, lived experiences, degrowth. There's a lot of really important things in here that complement, justice and economics and education and systems thinking, things that you would have thought of more in the terms ecology back in the day. So this told us that there were some really different things that were needing to be emphasized. In order to do that, some big changes had to happen from what we did in 2009. Next slide, please. And Bora, if you wouldn't mind giving me like a 2-minute warning on our time step, or just you just start waving your hand. That'll tell me like wrap it up, Frank. Somebody's going to have to do it. So one of the big shifts between 2009 and 2024 was the shift between climate science literacy. And back in the day, this was much more a climate science discipline focused approach. Climate science literacy was really the emphasis. In order for us to get to true climate literacy without that science in the middle, we had to make a lot of adjustments. The listening sessions screamed this. It was a very clear signal that came through. So we had to assemble a lot of expertise from different domains than just the science domain. Social scientists, educators, anthropologists, economists. They're in the government now, which is really awesome, but it did require a lot of work. So if you go to the next slide, you can see that what that looks like. So on the left, you have the main ideas. Each idea has a group of ideas below it. In 2009, this top one was really where humans are dealing with climate change. And then the rest, the green ones are really where it's really science. The first one, the sun is the primary source of energy on Earth's climate system, we thought that was really important and had a lot of ideas in it back in 2009. It shrunk a lot. Um, so you see how the green ones shrunk to two, and you can these are just the shorthands on the right. How do we know and what is climate science? What's important in there? So it's really shrunk from four to two. The Back in the day, we had really two about the causes of climate change. That was in four and six. That shrunk to one. And the reason why they're shrinking is because you can only know so many, you can only advance so many ideas. Um, so you really don't want to have a ton of ideas. You can't have 15 principles or 100 principles. So we have eight. We had eight and nine in 2009. We have eight in 2024. But in order to do that, there had to be some shifting and some lumping and splitting. So we lumped and split. But the orange one carried across. But then we opened this up because we really knew justice had clearly came through. And then adaptation and mitigation really needed to be much more emphasized. And then this last one, hope and agency, or I'm sorry, urgency, which leads to agency, um, was really needed to be expanded in new work. So there's really new work there. So if you go to here, what's now included is local indigenous knowledge. And and let me rephrase that, local indigenous knowledges, plural. There's not one indigenous knowledge, there's many. Each culture has their own set of knowledge. Social and cultural context, incredibly important. Social sciences, way more important and well represented in the process of doing this. Climate solutions, massive in priority. And then climate justice concepts, as we already talked about. So these are some of the new things that are included now. Next one, please. So these are is the language of the new eight principles. And I just want you to appreciate 1 through 4 really are kind of what you would have thought would have been in here, but 5 through 8 really new ideas. It challenges the education systems. It really re-emphasizes and rebalances what we're doing with learners of all forms, students of all forms, um, of all audiences. It's really calling for an adjustment. And this is a non-trivial adjustment to what we do in education systems. So I want you to appreciate that. The definition actually moves some important things around, but this definition also alludes to abilities. The guide that I'm sharing with you today really doesn't cover the abilities very much. It does name some of them to be able to recognize credible information, be able to communicate in accurate and effective ways, and be able to make informed decisions. But most of the work that's in the principles is about knowledge. So we have to deal with that. So let's go to the next slide. So, because we know knowledge of the Earth system and human influences of climate change is necessary but not sufficient. Knowledge is necessary but not sufficient. Also required are human qualities, skills to be able to deal with this very intersectional, complicated, transformational process that humans have to go through in order to address climate change, both on the impacts and the causes.
Frank, we have
So,
a couple of minutes left. Keep going.
yeah, I'm closing, Judy. I mean, I'm doing all right. I'm doing okay. I appreciate the heads up. Let's just I want you to think about that. In order for us to do that, though, we have to start naming what those are. The group of organizations that was involved in making the guide that we released could not do this. We don't have the expertise, and it's not something that we would have credibility on. So we're moving that through a different methodology. So next slide, please. Come on, there it is. So, wow, you got a little bit. So, knowledge and skills is really in two places. You can see the guide that I've been talking mostly about, which is on the left, but on the right. This is a new effort, and some of you may know about this international effort to complement the Sustainable Development Goals with something called the Inner Development Goals. We used a partnership with them because we really saw from the listening sessions some serious attention to what kinds of skills that need to be developed. The inner development goals has really shown us a way to do that in partnership. So a new transformative skills guide collaborative is building. Some of this on this call, like Bora, are part of this effort to try and figure out how do we describe these abilities that are different than the knowledges. So that is going on. I don't know if you want to see that QR code. I'll put a link to it. And so no, you're good. You're good, Judy. My last slide. I like if you just read this last principle, a livable, sustainable future for all is possible, not could be possible, is possible with rapid, just, and transformational climate action. I want you to go back in your mind to the logos that were involved in the writing and the logos that are involved in the approving. For that group to unanimously agree to this idea and all the supporting ideas is a really big deal. It's important. Pay attention to it, read it, consider it, and then um, see how it impacts your work. So, and then again, I just leave it with everything we've done over the 20 years I've been doing this. It's all done together. This webinar is done together. So I deeply appreciate this opportunity to speak with you, and I look forward to learning about the other effort that I was actually part of.
Frank,
Bora, I think it's over to you. Of
Frank, thank you so much for all that you
course.
do. You have been such a leader in this work, and we really appreciate all the hard work and the efforts. So Bora, over to you.
Over to me. Well, thank you so much. I'm excited to tell you a bit about the Guidelines for Excellence and our newest resource, which is the Educating for Climate Action and Justice Guidelines for Excellence. And one of the things in listening to Frank is that you are going to hear some themes that just keep coming through and coming through in terms of how we're going about thinking about climate education, and particularly how we thought about these guidelines. So there we go. Um, the Guidelines for Excellence just want to make sure that people understand this. It is an initiative of NAAE and has been part of NAAE since its very beginning. We've been amazingly lucky to be part of the EE 360 Plus partnership and to receive funding from the U.S. EPA Office of Environmental Education pretty much throughout the development process of all of our guidelines. And there are so many other partners who have been involved with the guidelines over the years. They've helped us develop the guidelines and they've helped us disseminate the guidelines. Um, Partners, as you all know, are exceptionally important and we cannot do our work without them. Within the Guidelines for Excellence, there are 7 different publications. every time we develop one of these, we basically take on a topic that we think is important for environmental education practice. So we've developed a set of guidelines that are the K-12, that are basically the equivalent to what Frank was talking about, the National Standards for Science, NGSS, but for environmental literacy. We have a set of guidelines that talk about the program development cycle, from needs assessment all the way through design and implementation and evaluation. Another set of guidelines that really makes the argument that it's more than us taking our programs to the community, it's working with the community on local issues. And finally, our newest set of guidelines, which is all about climate action and justice. In terms of developing these sets of guidelines, it's important to know that, as with what Frank was talking about, each of these sets of guidelines is rooted in research and practice. They were all developed through a broad-based critique and consensus process that involved multiple rounds of educators giving us input from individuals and organizations. People actually would sit down around a table and go through the drafts and give us detailed input, everything from where a comma should go to giving us important conceptual feedback. It's important, however, to sort of think about the whole process of the guidelines. The products are important, and I stand by the products as being important. But involving these people, these educators, encouraging real discussions about the theory and practice of environmental education is exceptionally important. And I would say almost equally important to the actual product. Educators have a chance to reflect on what it means to be an environmental educator, what we're trying to accomplish, and how we're trying to accomplish it. And finally, all of this sort of helps us define environmental education practice more and collect that wisdom so that we're building a stronger professional identity and a stronger profession. So this brings us to this newest set of guidelines, educating for climate action and justice. Early in the development process, we interviewed about 20 thought leaders from a variety of organizations and backgrounds. And we asked them to tell us about climate education and what they thought effective climate education was all about. We also asked them about recommendations for our next step, which was to form a writing team. We had just the most fabulous writing team. Frank was on the team. And these people brought to us expertise in climate education, climate justice, environmental justice, youth engagement, and much, much more. In addition to multiple virtual working sessions, these folks came together physically 3 times for multiple days to write drafts and to respond to reviewer comments. It was a hands-on process. We also formed an advisory group that gave us additional insights. And when everything was done and said, when we finally published the document this last fall, we involved over 800 individuals and organizations from every continent, with the exception of Antarctica. So we were really pleased with being able to get so much involvement in the development of these guidelines. So thinking about, where did we start with developing the guidelines? From the very beginning, our guiding notion was that we wanted to provide recommendations and resources that support using education as a tool for addressing climate change. We purposefully defined educators really broadly as teachers and extension agents, museum staff, librarians, weather broadcasters, faith educators, early childhood educators, basically anyone in formal or non-formal or informal education programs that work with learners, no matter what age. Oops, that's okay. I'll skip over that. So in starting this work, we also sort of framed it of just our thinking of how to dive into all of this around kind of four foundational uh, pillars. The first was a recognition that there is a climate crisis and that Earth systems and human systems are intertwined. Oops, there we go. We also know the importance of addressing solutions. Otherwise, people just become hopeless and depressed. There are things that communities, industries, and individuals are currently doing, and there's much more that they can do. From the very beginning, we decided that given the urgency of climate change, the guidelines needed to not only focus on the science behind climate change, which is incredibly important, but also we needed to focus on climate solutions. We wanted to avoid very explicitly the message that was heavy on gloom and doom. Our third pillar was a focus on fostering climate action. The guidelines could focus again on engaging people in learning about climate change, how to do that the best way we possibly can. Absolutely important. But the team following the research literature that basically said we need to include a focus on educational efforts that foster climate action in order to be successful. And along these lines, the research also told us, and our advisors told us, that any effective climate change education effort needs to address climate justice. We argue in the guidelines that effective climate education requires an understanding and a focus on climate justice, as well as a willingness to work towards solutions that address the impacts of climate change. So when we sort of put all of those four big ideas together, we built out what we call 5 key characteristics. So basically, these are the 5 key characteristics of effective education for climate action and justice. And in reality, these are just a way of organizing the set of guidelines. It's lumping them together into these 5 big buckets so that we can talk more specifically about each one. It's a framework, a way of organizing what we're trying to accomplish. So the first key characteristic basically talks about how educators need to create a collaborative, welcoming, and responsive learning environment. As with all of environmental education, whether we're talking about a 1-hour program in the woods, an ongoing community-based program down at the library, or a year-long unit in a 5th grade classroom, ensuring inclusive learning environments, engaging learners in open inquiry, and working with learners to explore worldviews and perspectives is incredibly important. We also felt that given climate and the political nature of climate change as a topic, that we really needed to make sure that the learners and the educators are examining climate change information and misinformation. In a lot of ways, this first key characteristic describes effective environmental education. Whether you're focusing on climate or biodiversity or solid waste, it really kind of doesn't matter. The second key characteristic, you're going to see a lot of really big overlaps between this and the essential principles that Frank just talked about, because it's talking about the basic knowledge and skills that foster climate action and justice. It puts an emphasis on understanding Earth's systems and human systems and developing those important systems thinking skills. It also focuses on the development of action strategies and skills and building personal and civic responsibility. The third key characteristic also overlaps with a lot of what Frank was talking about. It focuses its attention on climate emotions. We really don't want learners to increase their worry and their concerns and their anxiousness and their grief. We want them to recognize that people are doing things. We do, however, need to recognize and acknowledge these climate emotions. We bring those climate emotions into our teaching, and whoever those learners are, whether they're community members or a kindergartner, we know that these climate emotions are real and they just can't be ignored. So we felt that besides acknowledging these climate emotions, that we need to actively cultivate constructive hope. So we need to go beyond wishful thinking and go into that notion that we can make a difference and develop self-efficacy and agency. The fourth key characteristic basically says that excellent climate education needs to be locally focused and community driven. And by community, we take a pretty broad view again that it can be a geographic community like a town or a city, but also it can be a functional community like a school or a classroom or a neighborhood or a church or a temple or a workplace. We want good education to be relevant to the community in which the learners reside. And that means educators will help create a bridge between the learners and the community. And frankly, the community can help fill in some of the gaps that the educator may have in terms of climate science and climate justice and climate action, because you're working with people in the community who may well have that expertise. And finally, a similar but conceptually different key characteristic is that climate education needs to include civic engagement and action projects. It builds off of the foundation of locally focused and community centered, and whether or not they're planting trees or informing others, we're suggesting that experience with involving civic engagement is really essential. This means that the learner explores the world of policy and power. They find out who the decision makers are, and they think about the role that they can play in their community, and then they basically make decisions and act upon them. So if you'd like to learn more about the Guidelines for Excellence and access all of our publications, including the Climate Action Guidelines, please go to this QR code, and I'm sure that Carrie will drop the URL into the chat. So thank you for everything you do, and you want to reach out to me, that's my email address. And now I'm going to turn it over to Michael.
Great. Thank you very much, Bora. It is just a pleasure to be with everyone here and to participate in this important event about climate education. What you're going to hear today is, or at least in my presentation, I think you're going to hear a lot of overlap around the previous presentations. And I think what I'm offering here is how to take these concepts and bring them down into an actual curriculum and something that would work, in a school or in a classroom, and what we can do on a local level to bring these ideas to fruition. So as what was said before, I'm a member of the Climate Action Through Education Network. I've been a teacher for over 25 years and now an administrator. But all of this came together because there was an effort at MIT to really develop some curriculum and professional development around that curriculum to bring more education on climate, not just in the science areas, but in many of the disciplines, and in fact, in an interdisciplinary way. So what our curriculum is, it's modular. You can take pieces of it and use it. You can take a whole curriculum, modify it, adapt it. It's really teacher friendly because it's been teacher led and MIT informed with all the great resources that MIT brings to the table. We also have a massive open online course for educators that if you take it, you'll see me there as well. We have climate professional development programs, and this is all part of MIT's, hold on one second, something just happened here with stopping sharing. Let me try that again. There we go. It is all part of MIT's climate action plan for the decade. So it's integrated into the larger vision for MIT. And then we also have a faculty review committee who's looking at the work that we develop. So here are the primary folks who are involved. In the upper right, you can see Aisling O'Grady. She's kind of the glue that holds us all together. On the far right, you can see Professor Niddle, who's part of the Sloan School at MIT. And then the rest of us are teachers. Catherine Tessier-du-Lacrosse, she's at language arts. Lisa Borgatti, science. Gary Smith, physics. Amy Block is math. And I am the history and sustainability person in all of this. So our faculty director, Professor Niddle, he is a professor of energy and economics, as well as applied economics. He's got many hats at MIT, including he's the director of the Center for Energy and Environmental Policy Research, the deputy director for policy at the Energy Initiative. And his primary area of research is how the costs of climate change vary across households and firms and how this differs across policy choices. So he's, as well as household carbon footprints. So you wonder, how did he get involved in this as an economist? Well, it turns out his father is a teacher outside of Boston, and his father received a packet of resources to talk about climate, and he asked Chris about all of this, and they looked into it a bit more. And this packet of resources, which was very slick, came with DVDs, all kinds of great stylistic things, turned out to be funded by the fossil fuel industry and was really climate misinformation. So Professor Niddle was like, we cannot allow this to be the information that is out there for science teachers to talk about climate change. And so he put together some proposals, and we joined the group in 2021. And then we started providing professional development and a conference for K-12 educators. And we launched the curriculum in 2023. And we're now on our third PD workshop. We're on our second K-12 conference. And as I mentioned, we have this MOOC that is available. And we have worked with obviously teachers, but also teachers' unions, administrators, youth climate groups. There's an organization in Massachusetts called the Massachusetts Youth Climate Coalition. They've been really wonderful at helping us to get youth voices involved in the curriculum to make sure their voices are represented. Obviously, nonprofits. We've been involved with some legislation to get climate education into Massachusetts. And then there's an organization called the Massachusetts Climate Resilient Schools Coalition. And we've also professional development to over 30 high school teachers with MIT faculty and staff. And as I mentioned, this climate conference, we've had over 150 people, students and teachers together. The first one was April 2023. The second one was in 2024, and we're looking forward to one in 2025, all around Earth Day as a way to kind of launch conversations in classrooms. So again, we have a faculty review committee. There's tons of resources from MIT, the climate portal. There's a whole bunch of links there that you can take a look at. And then, as I said, it's part of the larger climate action plan where the idea is educate future generations of leaders and problem solvers and citizens. So, and, you know, some of our funding comes from MIT, the Office of Research, Climate Nucleus, but we've also applied for the Becker Foundation. And as I mentioned, we've had partnerships with teachers unions in Massachusetts and Earth Day Boston, which I am involved in, particularly around the conference in April. So what is our, what drives us in all of this work? Obviously, science is really important, but also, as you heard before, this idea of solutions. How do we get students to take action? Critical thinking skills that are really important in the 21st century, especially, as you also heard earlier, in this era of sometimes misinformation. We're really focused on providing curriculum opportunities that are interdisciplinary because life doesn't happen in silos. And accessibility, pulling together research, resources and ideas that is accessible throughout K through 12. And then a lot of the work is about reframing. For example, in my work in the history areas, it's grounded in the very specific core high school disciplines like US history, world history, but reframing things in a climate context. I could give you so many areas where climate is relevant, and I would challenge people to find an area where climate isn't relevant to teaching in a school. And so we have ways to think about this thing that reframes the conversation around climate. And again, our curriculum is multidisciplinary: history, English, math, science, world languages. As I mentioned, it's modular. Also mentioned earlier, this idea of being place-based, and I'll show you an example of that in a second. Again, all the MIT resources are connected. And then, as was mentioned earlier as well, this idea of solutions and making sure that students don't leave our classrooms with a sense of foreboding and despair, that we need to give this agency. And it's also grounded in the Mass State standards, and which these standards are something that public schools obviously are required to connect to, but obviously other schools have access to that as well. So let me give you a quick example in the short time that I have left of one of the curriculums that I developed. And this is in the context of kind of reframing the conversation. This is the post-war period. And so if I was a teacher talking about the Cold War era, I would certainly talk about the baby boom, and I'd probably talk about the interstate highway system. But what I've done with this curriculum is connecting this whole thing to this issue of climate change. And so here's one way to do it. And I'm giving you just a few examples of the larger curriculum and some of the slides that are available. But what we see, of course, is post-World War II, there's this massive baby boom. Billions of people are being added to the planet. And you can see from this slide, it just continues. All those people need resources. And the major resource that gets used to power our civilization at this point is still fossil fuels. And you can see this ramp up from the 1950s, but you go back obviously to the early industrial revolution, but clearly during the baby boom period. Well, what was the result? Well, 40 million Americans moved to the suburbs. What do they need when they're in the suburbs? They need housing, obviously, but they also need cars to move around. And so this interstate highway system is partially built to respond to that, but also Cold War military needs. So what happens? Car ownership doubles, suburban malls proliferate, GNP also doubles, and the good life, quote unquote, is affordable for some. And here's an example of the interstate highway system. Again, all of that is using fossil fuels to power these vehicles. However, this interstate highway system, again, connecting here to this issue of social justice and environmental justice, many of these highways were built right through communities of color and working class communities. The example you see here is the Massachusetts Turnpike that was built right through a primarily African-American community in Newton, Massachusetts, right outside of the Boston area. And there's also a positive example. There was a attempt to build a highway right through an African-American community in Boston, but a group of people led by Melnia Cass and others fought this, and it is not a highway anymore, or it never became a highway, actually. So again, both with the challenges and the opportunities for activism and community input are there. So, but you can see, if you look at any map about Boston, where are these major highways, Route 93, Route 90, going through. These are major communities of color. And East Boston, for example, over here by the airport, a large Latin American community, and working class communities in Brighton and Allston. So people saw all of this and started taking action. You can see President Johnson, way back in 1965, saw that this carbon dioxide is creating a heating of the atmosphere, and that's a result of the burning of fossil fuels. So people started taking action, and the rest of the curriculum talks about what kind of action was taken by people all across this country, including on the first Earth Day in 1970. So have a number of things coming up.
I have like 20 seconds to close it up.
It's done.
That was so fantastic. All three of you did such a great job. Just trying to make sure we have time for questions, and we did get a lot of questions. So thank you all so much. And what I think I'll do is share here just for a minute. So we got a lot of questions in advance and a lot of questions in the chat for all of you. So Terry and I have clumped these a little bit, and just want to highlight a few of them, and all the panelists can try and answer. So we're going to start with one clump that I know all of you have looked at, and it involves, how do you do this work in communities that might be more conservative or might be in what we've called red states? There's blue and red and purple and all of that. What are your thoughts for everyone about how do we think about doing this work in places where it might be tough? Anybody want to tackle that?
I mean, Judy, I can take a quick start at that. One of the things we're seeing when you think of a state, one of my roles is to represent the United States government and the United States to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change on Education, Training, and Public Awareness in something called the National Communications. And, it's like, what are we doing? And when you look at that, what are we doing? You see a variety, a diversity. And one of those really key things to look at is in a state like Ohio. When you think about climate and climate work and climate action, 4 cities, Cleveland, Dayton, Columbus, and Cincinnati, sorry, I used that one twice, are doing really, really advanced, deep, significant climate action, and education in those communities, metro regions, would be really different than rural Ohio. And so when you look at across the country, you're going to see, basically, what is the audience looking for? What are they culturally ready to do? It's going to be really different based on that context. I mean, when I showed you that part of the climate literacy guide, and I said, cultural context really matters, that's what I mean. So if you're in downtown Columbus, Ohio, and I've been there and worked with some of them, you're going to be really doing much more like what Bora talked about in those guidelines than, and if you're not, you're probably using more of what we talked about in the 2009 climate literacy guide than the 24 climate literacy guide. So, I think understanding your context and community, but at the end of the day, the science is the science. And that should be a bedrock that you don't, mix non-science in there. So that's just one perspective.
Brian, Michael.
Yeah, I would just add a quick piece to that, and kind of, I think, dovetails what Frank was talking about is, our idea about having a place-based curriculum. And, you saw my very specific place-based, but you can swap out your local context, your community, and seeing the impacts of climate now. I mean, talk to any farmer and they know what's going on in their community. Look at what happened in North Carolina. I mean, these are places that are being hit hard by the impact of climate change right now. And you share that kind of experience with people, and I think they are ready to take action to try to protect their communities and not make it worse.
Yeah, I mean, my general sense is I would just echo pretty much what was said. It's meeting your audience, meeting your community where they are, and really thinking about working with the community and not coming in and imposing, our ideas, imposing our sort of frameworks on the community. And we spent a lot of time in the writing team basically saying words matter. Words and actions and images matter. And there was just the Yale climate communications people just came out with something today that basically said, like only 34% of the people they surveyed knew what climate justice was. So if we march in there saying climate justice, and they have no idea what we're talking about, where, barriers are going to go up.
Yeah.
But they also found that once you define it in simple terms, 50 some odd % of the people said, oh yeah, I'm for that.
Yeah.
So it's really about communicating properly with people and meeting them where they are.
Harry, do you have a question?
Just
Oh, go
one
ahead.
quick, really powerful tool to support what Bora just said. And most people, if you don't know about the Yale climate maps, you can dissect those. And what is often true is we underestimate where people are on this issue. We think that they don't really know, they're not really concerned, they don't really think it's humans. If you look at that data, it clearly shows there are issues and there's differences, but that tool gives you really powerful ways of beginning to think about that audience at a scale that is not just national, but down at the community scale. Sorry.
Oh, I really appreciate your input there. We had a lot of questions about the current state of the world, the difficult times we're in. So the question to you all is, in a time when attention to mental health is so important, how do you engage learners, especially young learners, in these topics so that they feel encouraged to have hope, they feel encouraged to act? Where does civic engagement become part of the solution to the more intimidating side of climate education and awareness?
Yeah, it's a really tough question. I mean, I have had students in tears about this, the state of the world, and particularly the climate crisis. And part of what I have to do is to acknowledge the emotions and really not dismiss it. Students are feeling really scared and anxious, and so are adults, frankly. And so how can we move from that feeling of hopelessness and despair into action and agency? And part of that, my experience, is always about working on a local level, helping students get involved in the school. We at the school I used to teach at last year, we had an Earth Day event where 500 students participated, and we had our preschool build a installation, and middle school students were coming, and our students felt extremely empowered after that and felt like they could then move to the next level and keep going. So it's that local action and getting involved in your community that I think moves you beyond that sense of despair, because so many people are doing such good work out there, and it's really exciting.
And I would
Building.
add, I think, Frank put in the clean network information. There's a growing amount of resources out there that you can tap into that give really good practical exercises and thoughts and ways of looking at the issue. Because again, it is real. So you can't just gloss it over. You can't just ignore it. I do think that if you start with your learner, whoever your learner is, and you help them think about their world and what they want to accomplish in their world, that helps a lot. But one resource that I guess I would argue or urge people to look broadly. There's actually an online, so a virtual museum of climate emotions out of Oxford University. So, there's stuff out there, and go find it and use it. It's wonderful.
And just, the work we did to launch the climate literacy guide, we realized very quickly that there's a large consortium of groups that need to be involved in doing this together. So we created the Clean Network back in 2008. And we've been continuing to build and this consortium of groups, and there's more groups now. But one of the things we realized when this was starting to emerge in the practice, that mental health issues were starting to show up in all forms of educator. Michael, you attested to that yourself. Was how do you guide educators on how to do this? That's what those pages are. It's still a work in progress, but as Bora said, there's a lot more work here. But and I will speak from a personal perspective in my family, where we see people who have that anxiety and they channel that anxiety into action. That is actually what alleviates and fuels that action is from the anxiety.
Yeah.
This is what students are doing. So it's a really important, it's a thing. And as you said, Michael, you have to acknowledge it and be ready to have the space and time for it. But it looks like we have to go to Sarah.
Oh, sorry, I think we could be on for like 4 hours with this
We
group.
could.
All are fantastic. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna turn it over to Sarah. I want all our speakers to hang tight because Sarah's gonna close us out for this piece. And if you want to stay a few extra minutes, we do have a lot more questions that we couldn't get to. But boy, thank you all so much. And Sarah, do you want to take it away for this last piece? And then we'll stay on for another 10 minutes and see if we can answer some additional questions.
Sounds good. And I have just enjoyed this so much. So I'm sheepish about jumping in because this is such a good conversation. But for those of you who want to keep the conversation going and hopefully continue to connect with each other outside of this particular webinar, if you're not already a member of the Climate Change Education Affinity Group on our EE Pro platform, I would really encourage you to log on today and make sure that you sign up for that group. It's a place where you can keep the discussion going. You can share ideas and resources. As has been said many times, you'll all get the links that have been shared here today, but we want to continue to keep each other apprised of the good work that's happening. So check out EE Pro and join that group. And then I just want to also share that alongside my colleague, Megan Fink at NAAEE, I helped to facilitate a coalition for climate education policy. Many folks who are joining this webinar have participated in that coalition as well, but we would love for all of you to consider joining that coalition. We see policy as one of the solutions that NAAEE can work towards, because we know that signals from the top matter, whether that's in local policy or at a statewide level, to encourage educators to really take on the issue of climate change in the classroom. And so we have been, a couple things that we are doing as a coalition is just tracking what's happening across the country at the state and local level. We've been doing some mapping of climate change education policy. We are drafting case studies, making the case, providing that research base to help people make the case for climate change education, and just creating tools for advocacy. We are really just trying to make it easier for you all to have resources at your fingertips so that you can do that good work at the state and local level, in addition to the actual educational resources. The next slide shows a couple of examples of the policy summaries. These are 2 statewide examples, but we also have policy summaries for local examples. Just a very short snippet of what the policy does, whether there's funding associated with it, and really importantly, who you can reach out to in that state or community if you want to learn more about the work that they did. And then lastly, because I know we're at time, I just also want to shout out a brand new resource that was very collaboratively created with input from tons of our partners, including many on this call, a new climate education policy toolkit. This is to help support your state and local advocacy work if you're interested in advancing a policy for climate change education. And the one thing I just want to mention about this toolkit, because it came up just a few minutes ago, is that one of the very first resources in this toolkit is meant to help you understand your context. So, you know, what is the level of existing support? What are some of the resources? Who are some of the players that may or may not be allies to you in this work, so that you can kind of set yourself up for success in terms of how bold or how baby step you want to go in terms of trying to advance climate education policy in your local context. If you have a chance to check it out, I hope that you will give us your feedback. It features a lot of partner resources. We worked really hard not to recreate the wheel, but we know there may be gaps and new things are coming up all the time. So if there's something that you think we should include in this toolkit, we would love to hear from you. And with that, I just want to thank everyone for joining today. We had a great turnout, and I'll turn it back over to Judy in case there are other questions that folks want to stick around to have answered.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Michael and Frank and Bora and Sarah for being here. Really appreciate it. We did have a few other questions, and I do think a few people are sticking around here. If you don't mind answering a few additional questions. And some of these might be more, you know, targeted to one of you or another one of you, but there was a lot talking about the civic engagement part of what we do. And if you have resources on that, Frank, you made the point that civic engagement does give people agency, and Laura, you talked about that, and Michael, what advice do you have for people and the interactivity part of climate education and the civic engagement can link to that? Any thoughts on that? And that was from a number of people, number of questions.
I would just like to jump in to say, there are materials that are out there that are highly effective, that have been evaluated, not necessarily created for climate, but for environmental issues. So there's a thing called Earth Force, and Earth Force has a 6-step process that gets kids involved with, you know, looking at a local environmental issue and taking it all the way through to action. I put in the chat about CAPE, which is an extension program out of University of Florida. And they basically took the Earth Force model, which is kind of semester long, and they made it into a youth program that I think has 8 sessions or something. There's the meaningful, I'm going to screw it up. It's Frank, it's the Meaningful Watershed.
Watershed training program.
Yeah, Meaningful Watershed Experiences. And
Oh,
that
be wet.
yeah, it's the Be Wet, meet, whatever. That program helps walk people through. There's the Climate Stewards that a whole bunch of the universities extension programs are doing to involve adults in walking through and understanding climate change, but also understanding what they can do locally and that civic engagement piece. So there are lots of them out there. You do need to do some chasing down, but there's some really great materials out there.
Building on what Bora was saying, Bora, remind me in the guide that we developed, what were the like the bright spots called, like those little vignettes?
Yeah, they're called guidelines in practice.
Guidelines in practice, right? So all over that document, which you can access, there are examples, bright spots. If you don't understand, you know, how bright spots is as a methodology, it's just like something that we're calling for that exists in practice already. And so it's demonstrated. One of my favorites, where it's the intersection of youth, education, and climate, is the Youth Climate Summit program that was pioneered by the Wild Center. I put an example. We've invested and partnered with it for a really long time, but it's a really powerful model for that intersection of climate knowledge, and then what do we do about it, and then, you know, in my community. So and it's been used all over the world. It's an international model. It's not just a domestic model, but there's other innovations, and this is what I've seen in my work for 2 decades. Any of these topics has probably been pioneered, innovated, taken to the next level and is ready to scale. And they're usually very collaborative. So, I rarely do I see something brand new, but it does happen. But I think, when anything you're looking for is out there, just look around. And also that's why networks of practitioners are so important because we share, like, oh, you need to talk to Earth Force. Oh, EcoRise is over here, the Clio Institute there. Somebody's
Eco-Rise.
kind of ahead of you and they're willing to show you and then you transform it. Or I've done something really interesting, but I think it might be valuable to others, then share it. But sharing and learning networks is really how this work has always been advanced.
They're a collaborative field. Michael,
Oh,
anything
yeah.
to add to that? You put some things in the chat.
Yeah. So one is our program at MIT on the K program. One of the lessons that I did ends with a civics project, and so you can see all the steps that you need to go through in order to make that happen. And it's based on the Massachusetts civics requirement. So the state passed a law a number of years ago based on student engagement and input to require civics in all of Massachusetts schools. So there's an 8th grade requirement and a high school requirement. And so I put a link there to the Department of Ed Civic Showcase. And you can see there are many examples of environmental and climate-related civics projects.
Well, thank you all so much. Any final words from the speakers? We still have 92 people listening in. Give you a chance to say any final words. Sarah, jump in, Bora, Frank, and Michael, and just really, if you do everything that is in the chat, all those links and those resources, you will be busy for the rest of your lives. We've got a lot of really great stuff. But any final words?
Ooh, yes. Here's what I would say. For those of us who are here from an education experience, like we come from the practice of education, we come into this work because we found that climate was a really important topic, that our professional expertise in the variety of education forms, which I've come to appreciate all of them, um, are incredibly powerful and essential aspects of how we face climate change. You can't do it without education. And yet we still are having trouble making that case to leaders of all forms. So I think that, this is where solidarity in our practice really becomes really important because we know that we're essential, we're indispensable, and yet it feels too hard. So this is why, again, networks of practitioners are so important, whether it's Climate Generations networks, Clean networks, NAAE's networks, you name it. There's even international ones are really, really, really important because we're pioneering in that S curve. We're down here in the S curve. It hasn't gone all the way up. But when you do the practice, you see the work, you realize that this is absolutely critical to the long multi-decadal process of humanity facing this. So, just stay with it. One of the top skills in that interdevelopment goal is perseverance. It's the last one, actually. Turns out it's really important. So I encourage you to demonstrate perseverance because it's going to be hard, but it's also indispensable. So just, stick with it. We have. So join us.
Or do you want to say anything before I?
I was only going to echo basically what Frank said, and basically perseverance is incredibly important. Constructive hope is incredibly important. Um, Recognizing that, yeah, the world, a friend of mine used to say, the world is full of problems. The world is full of problems, and the world is changing around us. And we can easily get sucked down into a vortex of that change. Um, think about what we can do. Think about what we are doing, and think about how we can work together to move forward. We might need to look at some new networks, some new partners, some new collaborators, given some of the current issues within the United States in particular. But we've been here before. I'm old enough to know we've been here before, and we just need to keep moving.
And I would just add to that saying local, 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 like find your people locally. And I have been so inspired at those moments where I'm feeling down or like, oh, this is overwhelming or whatever, inspired by the young people who are already doing this work, as well as so many other people who've been in this space for so long. That's where change is happening, and connecting to that change is inspiring. So
Thank you. Thank you all so much. Thanks to everyone listening in, all the links. Carrie, thank you for all the work that you do. And we will keep these conversations going. No matter what happens at, the national, international level, we know climate change is happening. We have to deal with it. Education is a critical tool, and it's because of folks like all of you that we're going to be successful and keep at it. So thank you all so, so much. Everyone will get copies of everything. And we will see you next time. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.